about today basically two things, because this is a women's march. It's not just an abortion march. And we have more issues than just the fact that we cannot get abortions when we need them. We have other issues. So I want to talk about some of them, and then I'll get back to the abortion issue. Now, one of the issues that matters to me is that in Congress, only 27% of our congressional reps are women. Women make up 51% of the population. Don't you think that if there were more women there, maybe we would have better protections for women? I think it's important that we get more women. You don't think so? I think women would fight harder for women's rights, and I know that I would. Maybe I'm making a blanket statement about other women, but I do believe that getting more women in Congress is important.
Yes.
Now, some of the issues that I wanted to talk about that are not necessarily abortion, but are, tangentially related. One is birth control, which was mentioned earlier. They want to limit that. They want to make sure that you can't even get birth control. So we need, at the federal level, to make sure that birth control is accessible, is affordable, or free, and that people have more control over their family planning. The thing that I am a proponent of is universal pre-K, which will mostly help women, because when women, families, welcome children into their houses, if they want to go back to work, they have to put their kids in daycare. And daycare, if you can even find a good one, is so expensive. Universal health care, or universal pre-K, would help so that people can put their children in a place that's safe and that is going to give them a jump start in their education. And the women can go back to work. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Without having to spend everything that they make on childcare. So we have that in most places in New Jersey. I know my grandchildren are beneficiaries of that. We don't have it in most places in the country, and I think we should. So affordable child care in general and affordable elder care goes with that, because it's almost always the woman who's taking care of her elderly parents. So if we're talking about issues that matter to women, that has to be among them. And the thing that we cannot forget is that in our country, in 2024, it's hard to believe that the Black mortality rate is 2 to 3 times more than it is for white women. And that is unacceptable. So when we talk about women's issues, that has to be among the most important, and it must be addressed. And the sad part is that most of the maternal deaths for women of color are preventable. They're not dying of something that nobody else knows about and can't be fixed.
And it's not race-related medical. It's
No.
care.
It's care. Yes, it's care related. They're not getting the same level of care, and that has to be fixed.
Well, some people seem to believe that
There's something biologically different. That's insane.
It's not.
That's insane. So
Well, there are idiots out there.
no, I know that. I know that. Not in here. There's no idiots, but out there there's idiots. One of the ways that can be enhanced, or like we can start to deal with that, is by expanding postpartum care, especially for those on Medicaid, because Medicaid benefits right now for postpartum end in 60 days. And if you've ever had a child, you know that you're not back to normal in 60 days, that you're still dealing with all of the raging hormones and the mental stress of having a newborn and all of the pressures that are on you. So postpartum care should go at least for a year, because they need to be able to check up on these women and make sure that they're doing okay, and if they're not, get them the help that they need. That goes for everybody, not just women of color, but they're affected by it much more than others. All right. So now I want to talk more specifically about abortion rights. I'm actually very disappointed in our government, especially the Democrats in our government. That's why I'd like to, go there and try to help them a bit. We should have known that this was coming. When the Dobbs decision came down a year and a half ago, it should not have been a surprise to anyone. For 50 years, there was lawsuit after lawsuit brought all the way up to the Supreme Court so that they could chip away at the rights that we had been granted. And if you go back to 2015 when Donald Trump was running, he came right out and said, I'm going to appoint judges to the Supreme Court that will overturn Roe v. Wade. It's insane. We should have listened to him then, just as we should be listening to him now and make sure he doesn't get anywhere near it. But he did exactly what he said he was going to do. I guess what we never knew was that he would get to appoint 3 judges. Oh well. So we find ourselves where we are, and I'm disappointed at that because I think that had we seen it coming, which our legislators should have, they probably could have passed some legislation that would have given us protections, but we are where we are. So what we need now is federal legislation that will grant women the right to terminate a pregnancy, and it has to be the woman's choice. No government official should be involved in that decision making.